Good evening everyone, welcome back to the channel. How are you doing? Tonight's video I'm going to take a little journey which I've been wanting to go on for quite some time. Around 6 or 7 months ago I learned from a video on YouTube that even all the brightest minds past and present in the world don't really know how the moon was formed. When I found that out it sort of blew my mind a little bit. I've always been very interested in the moon and space and astrology, etc, etc. I'm subscribed to a number of channels on YouTube that delve into all of these subjects. So I decided to take a little journey and find out what the internet says about the moon. I put in a simple search first of all, which is, what is the moon? Now I know there's various theories on what the moon is. I'm very open-minded, but really I'm going to try and delve through and see if I can piece together what the hell the moon is, where the hell did the moon come from, is the moon as, do we have bases on the moon, are there ancient artifacts there, or what? So the first video I'm going to start with is from a channel that I subscribe to, which is Future Unity, and it is, the moon is not what you think it is. Enough talk, let's get into it. Okay, here we go.
The moon is the Earth's only natural satellite. That's probably how you've seen the moon, but the moon is not what you think. These are 15 mysterious recent discoveries that will make you see the moon for what it is. Number 15, mysterious lights. Astronauts have noticed mysterious random flashes of light known as transient lunar phenomena coming from the moon's surface. These lights have been noticed to occur randomly, so astronauts can't be specific about the times they appear. Sometimes these lights flash several times a week while they last for a few minutes and sometimes hours. The transient lunar phenomena have been known since the 50s, but they have not been well observed for a long period. Even before the 50s, the transient lunar phenomena were first observed in 1787, and after Apollo 11 traveled to space, astronauts told NASA about the mysterious lights. For a while now, there was little or no interest in the moon for some unclear reasons, but thanks to private companies such as SpaceX and Blue Origin, as well as foreign governments like China, the interest in the lunar flashes became high. Over the years, there have been several explanations about what these lights mean, but none have been proven. And now there's a new telescope in Spain that may provide the answer we have all been waiting for. This lunar telescope, built by Hakan Kahler's team in Germany, will be pointed at the lunar surface for a whole day, taking videos and pictures of whatever it detects. This way, the mystery behind the lights can be solved. This telescope, built in Germany, will be used in Spain because the country has better weather conditions for observing the moon. Whatever this telescope finds will then be confirmed by comparing its observation with the European Space Agency. So now all we have to do is wait to hear from the new telescope. But while we wait, let's talk about number 14, the mysterious towers.
Oh, here we go.
Some structures that look like towers were discovered by NASA satellites orbiting the moon and taking images. The footage of these tower-like structures was then posted on YouTube by Mexico Geek after he saw it while cruising around Google Moon. After that, the video went viral with some news outlets stating that the towers are built by aliens on the moon. The footage shows several rocks standing high above ground level, so tall that they called for major concerns and brought about questions like, were these structures built by hand or at the command of some extraterrestrial creatures? Some of these structures are said to be 5 kilometers high, and according to the video, this particular one does look like a real tower with a visible angle, making it look like a 3-dimensional figure. Ever since we found the images and videos of these structures, we have been made to believe different things. Some believe that these are rock formations, and while others agree with that, they stepped up their beliefs by saying the rock formations are not natural. If they didn't exist naturally, that implies that they have been placed there by a certain light.
A rock formation. You know what? It's not even. What's the point? There's no point in debating it because there isn't. Is there? In all honesty, there isn't, because people will just say one thing and somebody else will say something else. We just need to get back there and somebody can go and put a camera on it, 4K camera on it, and go, "This is what it is, everyone. Get ready for it."
Life form. That brings us to the belief that the high structures are launch pads that were constructed by aliens. However, a researcher working with NASA's LROC moon mapping mission, Noah Petro, claims the strange mark is not a spire, but a crater within a crater, while a website claimed the spire was built to allow a large vessel to dock safely without landing on the moon. The scientists believe that the appearance of a tower is an artifact generated from the process of putting the mosaic of images together. He said, In the high sun images, the bright craters are more easily seen, but there's nothing there that is unusual compared to any other areas on the moon. He also said the sun is very low on the horizon, causing the dimple on the crater wall to create a shadow along the east, while the dark cascade of material falling into the crater has probably happened because of material falling into the crater floor. Well, whatever we have to believe must come with real-time evidence. Number 13, the flying spaceships. Back in 2019 in Moscow, Russia, a photographer set up his camera to shoot the full moon, but it led to more than a moonshot. At first, he saw 3 black dots in movement and began to question what they could be. Over the years, there have been certain theories that humans may not be the only ones to have visited the moon, but there's been no solid proof. After what the photographer saw, he must have remembered the legends about the existence of aliens, which made him zoom in to look further.
I don't know either or, by the way, before anybody jumps on me. I don't know. I'm not saying one thing or the other. I don't know whether it is what we just always have thought it is, which is our moon, which was created from the debris of the Earth being created after a collision, the collision theory. I think there's another theory that they're thinking it might be as well, but they can't be sure. And I'm not saying those aren't alien craft flying past the moon either. I don't know, and the fact is nobody knows, but let's try and find out a little bit more about it, or I'm gonna. If you want to join me, you can, obviously.
Guess what he saw? This time the dots have multiplied in folds and are moving strangely. They do look like an army of something alien. First, we have to confirm if that video is real, and to know that, an astronomer and video effect designer, Mark D'Antonio, analyzed the video and confirmed that the video is real and not just some effects. Some experts believe they could be a group of satellites orbiting the Earth, which would have made enough sense since so many satellites have been sent to space. But considering the movements of these objects, it's a no. These objects speed up and slow down at intervals, and according to experts, satellites don't move that way. In the end, some experts speculated that they may be birds. Whether they are birds or an alien army, we would need more than speculations to believe anything.
Birds don't fly like that.
Number 12, crashed rocket. Recently, NASA shared images of an unknown spacecraft that has crashed into the moon. The images were captured by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, which reveals that the impact of the crash left a strange crater on the far side of the moon. And once again, this has led to conspiracy theorists labeling the crash as evidence of alien activity. We can as well believe that an out-of-control rocket left those marks on the moon, but the question is, whose rocket was it? Astronomers discovered that the rogue rocket part hit the moon around March this year. At first, it was believed that the rocket belonged to SpaceX, but was later pinned on the China Space Agency. According to NASA, the crash site shows a rare double-impact crater, which would help astronomers identify who is responsible. The reason why this crash has raised eyebrows is that it's the first time a man-made object has crashed into the moon without being aimed there. Number 11, the hollow moon. The hollow moon theory first surfaced during the Apollo 12 moon landing mission in 1969, when NASA decided to learn more about the composition of the moon. During the mission, astronauts set up an experiment called the Passive Seismic Experiment as part of the Apollo lunar.
Okay, now I have watched a video on this, or one video on this, and since I put the search in, there's obviously been lots more pop up. I know they fired the object back down at the moon and it rang like a bell. That's what the video basically said, for hours, and it shouldn't.
Surface experiment package, which was a larger moon experiment. Once the astronauts safely landed in the command module, they sent the lunar module off to the moon, which crashed on the surface. The crash in turn created an earthquake, and the seismometer recorded a vibration that shocked the scientists. Not that they didn't anticipate the vibration, but it was bigger and longer than what was expected. Scientists had expected that the moon would be similar to the Earth in composition, but the moonquake is quite different from the earthquake they have experienced. The moon was said to have rung like a bell, which made the astronomers speculate that the moon is hollow. The moon is believed to be solid, which is why it didn't make sense that the moon vibrated that loud and long.
It's very strange.
Number 10, fresh moon rocks. China launched its Chang'e 5 mission, and the spacecraft brought home 1.73 kilograms of lunar dust and rocks from Oceanus Procellarum. Although Apollo and the Soviet lunar mission have sampled some areas of the moon, they are quite different from the areas sampled by the China Space Agency. This particular area was chosen because it has lower density craters than areas previously sampled by Apollo and Soviet lunar missions. The samples gathered by the spacecraft were processed and analyzed to learn more about the history of the moon, since no one is yet to prove when and how the moon came into existence. The samples indicate volcanic activity was still occurring on the moon as recently as 2 billion years ago, compared to the samples first examined by Apollo and Soviet lunar missions, which state such activity stopped between 2.8 billion and 3 billion years ago. This is still a mystery, as no one knows for sure how China's samples are younger than the ones previously seen.
Random.
Number 9. Columnar crystal. When China launched its spacecraft, it made some really interesting discoveries. Some of these are helium-3 and a brand new mineral on the moon. Although helium-3 isn't new, what is new is the concentration of this rare isotope that has been found in the lunar samples together with extraction parameters. Now, let me explain further. Helium-3 is an isotope that is rarely found on Earth and is estimated to be in abundance on the moon. It is important because it's capable of firing up our nuclear plants, excluding the troubles that it comes with, like radioactivity and pollution. With helium-3, we can use nuclear energy cleanly. Also, helium-3 can one day power spacecraft, which means spacecraft would no longer have to return home while out on a mission before they can be refueled. Now, to the new mineral named Changasite Y. The mineral looks like a colorless columnar crystal, or say diamond. As said earlier, this mineral is new, so not much is known about it yet. Number 8. The moon is alive.
Ooh.
After finding a significant amount of water on the moon, NASA declared the moon alive. During a mission that drilled about 100 feet on the moon's surface, about 25 gallons of water was discovered in the form of vapor and ice. Although that's not enough to swim in, it is a good indicator that there's enough water in the shaded craters at the South Pole for astronauts to live off the land. NASA plans to construct a lunar base on the moon, which makes the presence of this amount of water good news for astronauts. Now the plan for a lunar base can be achievable since water is available for drinking, bathing, and making rocket fuel. This discovery has painted a new picture of the moon after the moon had been considered geographically dead for years. One of the reasons why scientists are so interested in space is life. For years, the question, what if the Earth was melting, or where would you run to, has remained unsolved because scientists have not found any planet that has life like Earth. So it's no surprise that the first thing astronauts search for on a planet is water, because water itself is life. Number 7. The moon keeps secrets. Even though the moon is our nearest neighbor, it doesn't show us its all. The moon is tidally locked to the Earth, which means all we can ever see of the moon is just one of its faces. There's a dark side that it doesn't show us. If you could take a look at the moon from above, you'd see that it orbits once on its axis exactly as long as it takes to orbit once around our planet. It's always turning, but all we can ever see is one face. So what is the moon hiding? And it's not only our moon that keeps secrets from us, but also Jupiter and Saturn's moons only show them a part of their faces. And as for Pluto and Charon, they're facing each other forever. According to astronomers, this tidal locking occurs as a result of gravitational interaction between worlds. This is a discovery that has made some people think there's another world the moon is hiding on the other part. What could be on the other side? Alien treasure? The world may never know. Number 6. The moon is Earth's sister. For years, scientists have wondered how the moon came into existence. There have been unanswered questions about the existence of the moon until a recent study showed that the moon is the Earth's sister. Many people have wondered if the moon is the Earth's twin, but the answer is no. The study shows that a primordial planet, which was chemically a near match to Earth, was believed to have smashed into baby Earth, creating a cloud of debris that eventually formed the moon. The computer model shows that most of the materials that form the moon would have come from the shattered impactor, a planetary body known as Theia, which is known to have a slightly different isotopic makeup than Earth. So if an Earth-like body made the moon, shouldn't the moon be at least like the Earth? Well, scientists are also dying to find out what the moon has inside of it, trying every method they can. Hopefully, as technology advances, we should have a complete answer about what the moon really is. Number 5. The moon is falling. If you have seen Moonfall, directed by Roland Emmerich, you must have asked this question: is the moon really falling? The answer is yes. The truth is, the moon is falling toward the Earth constantly, and if the moon were to hit the Earth, that would be bigger than a disaster, a complete life extinction. There would be nothing left for anything to remember the Earth ever existed. But the good news is the moon is not going to hit the Earth, even though it's falling. NASA took time to assure everyone on Twitter that the moon is in a stable orbit and won't crash into our planet. However, should you believe NASA, I mean, they would never want you to panic. After this explanation, you decide whether to believe NASA or not. Though the moon is falling toward the Earth every time, the good news is it's moving very fast with respect to the Earth, making it impossible to hit our planet. I would have loved an illustration, but orbits are a bit more complicated than you think. Gravity pulls the Earth and the moon together, but they are moving too fast to hit. The only reason why there can be a hit is if there's a way to slow down the moon. So far, there's no way to slow down the moon, so we are safe. And even if there is a way, you definitely don't want to slow it down. Number 4, the moon is leaving us. Every year, the moon drifts away from the Earth a tiny bit, about 1.5 inches, but there's no stopping the drift. The forces of gravity are unshakable and unstoppable, and whether we like it or not, they will keep pulling the moon away. When the moon was first formed 4.5 billion years ago, the moon used to be much closer. At that time, the moon orbited 10 times closer to the Earth than it does now. Back then, the moon was moving away at the rate of about 8 inches per year. Because the Earth has a lot of water, the moon pulls at our oceans, while the oceans pull back, making the moon speed up. That exactly is what's making the moon go farther away from us. Scientists have a better way of seeing the situation. They call the phenomenon lunar retreat, which makes you see the moon enjoying itself in a relaxing mode while getting away from the troubles of the Earth. But what would the moon look like from the Earth in millions of years to come? Trying to imagine the moon coming closer is too scary, but imagining the moon far away is sad too. The good news is none of us will be around to witness the moon look like a little star in millions of years to come. Number 3, moon dust smells of gunpowder.
Right.
Back in 2006, Apollo 17 astronaut Gene Cernan described what the moon dust looks and tastes like. He said it is as strong as snow, yet abrasive. The taste is not that bad, and it smells like gunpowder. At that point, it all became confusing. Why would the moon dust smell like gunpowder? Once the helmets and gloves of the astronauts were off, they could taste, feel, and smell the moon dust. Okay, let's be clear here, the moon dust and gunpowder are not the same. Modern gunpowder is a mixture of nitrocellulose and nitroglycerin. These are flammable organic molecules not found in lunar soil, while half of the moon dust is silicon dioxide glass created by meteoroids hitting the moon. These impacts, which have been going on for billions of years, fuse topsoil into a glass and shatter the same into tiny pieces. Moon dust is also rich in iron, calcium, and magnesium, bound up in minerals such as olivine and pyroxene. It's nothing like gunpowder. So what makes it smell like gunpowder? This is another mystery of the moon yet to be unraveled. ISS astronaut Don Pettit, who has never been to the moon but has an interest in space smells, gave an interesting illustration. He said, "Picture yourself in a desert on Earth. What do you smell? Nothing, until it rains. The air is suddenly filled with sweet peaty odors. Water evaporating from the ground carries molecules to your nose that have been trapped in dry soil for months. Who knows, maybe something similar happens on the moon." Number 2, aliens exist on the moon. Legendary astronaut Buzz Aldrin made history in 1969 and also became popular for 2 things. One, he helped to pilot the first lunar landing module to reach the moon and became the second man to set foot on the lunar surface as part of NASA's Apollo 11 mission. Shortly after the mission, there were claims that he told NASA that aliens exist on the moon and that he saw them on his way to the moon. It was also said that he took a lie detector test while telling NASA, and he passed. The rumors started in 2018 when the Daily Star published the story about the lie detector test. Aldrin came forward and spoke about the claims. He has denied the claims, and even the Daily Star also denied the post. Aldrin wrote on a Reddit thread, "There were many explanations of what that could be, other than other spacecraft from another country or another world. It was either the rocket we had separated from, or the 4 panels that moved away when we extracted the lander from the rocket and we were nose to nose with the 2 spacecraft. He also said as soon as he landed, he was debriefed and made to understand that what he had observed was the sun reflecting off one of those panels. According to NASA's spokeswoman, she believed that the word unidentified in the acronym UFO is the major problem. The fact that an object is unidentified doesn't mean it is of alien origin. Aldrin might have said he saw something he was unfamiliar with, and that must have been misinterpreted as an alien. I won't blame anyone though. An average human thinks aliens are somewhere trying to invade our planet. Relax now, Aldrin didn't see any aliens. Number 1. Evidence of colonization. Since Mars has been seen as a potential habitat for humans, scientists also think that we can make brief visits to the moon which will lead to longer visits and one day colonies. Scientists have said that we will learn to live on the moon before Mars. Why is that? That is because the moon is closer to us than Mars. It is only reasonable to try the closer space before taking the long and riskier trips to Mars. The moon and Mars have a lot in common. The moon has only 1/6 of Earth's gravity. Mars.
Now, I've also heard of late that we're already on the moon and Mars. What do you think of that? Do you believe that? Like I said, I'm open-minded to all these things. I just need proof. That's what you need, isn't it? Hard proof. And no one can provide that, really. Until that's provided, then you can't really believe it, can you? You can have your own ideas and thoughts, which is all I'm going to have throughout this.
Has 1/3. The moon has no atmosphere. The Martian atmosphere is highly rarefied. The moon can get very cold, as low as -240 degrees Celsius in the shadows, while Mars varies between -20 and -100 degrees Celsius. Also, both Mars and the moon are covered with the same silt-fine dust called regolith. Although the dust on Mars isn't as sharp as the one on the moon, it is electrically charged and can block the sunlight, which is why NASA is currently working to mitigate the effect of the dust on human and robotic exploration. Both the moon and Mars are found to harbor water frozen in the ground. NASA found hydrogen on Mars and found lunar ice on the north and south poles of the moon, where the sun never shines. If the ice can be broken into hydrogen and oxygen, that would result in an instant supply of water. There are technologies set to be tested in bringing water out of the moon, thereby making the moon a planet we might colonize in the future. It seems we now have the answers to the question, if the Earth was melting, where would you go? The moon is looking promising, and scientists won't relent until they finally successfully move the first set of people to the planet. The new technologies will be tested first on the moon because the moon is just 2 or 3 days away from the Earth. If it is successful, then it won't be hard to try it on Mars, which is about 6 months away from the Earth, since there won't be a reason to go back to Earth every time to refuel. With all of these discoveries, it feels like there's so much about the moon that we do not know, and that we might never know if the moon does not agree to show us. The moon is not what we think.
Yeah, that was actually a really good video from Future Unity. So thanks Future Unity channel for that one. Go down and give them a subscription if you haven't already. I'll link the video in the description. So what do you think about that? You know, like I said, I am open-minded. I am into all of this stuff. I do want to know the answer to the question that a lot of people ask, and that is it just us? And that obviously leads you off onto many, many journeys. Now, this video actually has probably given me a good platform to go off and explore all of the 15 things that they went through there. All very interesting. I've heard some of them before, some of them I haven't. But I think the main thing is, back to the fact I started with, is nobody really knows how it was formed. So we'll find out what else the internet has got to tell us about the moon and see if we can put something together and find out for ourselves, or get a bit more clued in anyway. What do you think the moon is? What are your thoughts on this? If you've seen any good moon videos, link them into the comments and we'll crack into them. But for now, make sure you hit the subscribe. Let's go on the moon journey together. Hit the like, and I'll see you back for some more videos.